Maya Johnson stepped out of her sleek black Mercedes and adjusted her designer blazer. The morning sun reflected off her confidence as she walked toward the First National Bank branch on Madison Street. At 35, she had built her tech company from nothing into a multi-million-dollar empire. Today was supposed to be simple, just opening a new business account for her latest venture. The automatic doors welcomed her into the pristine marble lobby. Crystal chandeliers hung overhead, and the smell of fresh coffee drifted from the customer lounge. Maya approached the reception desk where a young woman with perfectly styled blonde hair sat typing on her computer. "Good morning," Maya said with a warm smile. "I'd like to speak with someone about opening a business account." The receptionist, whose nameplate read Jessica, barely looked up from her screen. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked in a flat tone. "No, but I was hoping someone might have a few minutes. It's for a substantial account opening." Jessica finally glanced up, her eyes quickly scanning Maya from head to toe. Something shifted in her expression. "I'm sorry, but all our account managers are extremely busy today. Perhaps you could try the community bank down the street. They might be more suitable for your needs." Maya felt a familiar knot forming in her stomach. She had experienced this before. The subtle discrimination that came wrapped in polite words and professional smiles. But she had learned not to back down. "I specifically chose this branch because of your reputation for handling large business accounts. I'm looking to open an account with an initial deposit of $5 million. Jessica's eyebrows shot up, but skepticism clouded her features. "$5 million? Are you sure you have the right bank? Maybe you're confused about the amount." "I'm quite certain," Maya replied, her voice steady despite the growing irritation. "Could you please get your manager? Mr. Davidson is in meetings all day. Like I said, maybe the community bank would be better suited for someone like you." The phrase hung in the air like smoke. Maya knew exactly what Jessica meant by someone like you. She had heard those same words when she was denied her first business loan, when investors questioned her capabilities, and when competitors tried to undermine her success. "I'll wait," Maya said firmly, taking a seat in the elegant waiting area. For the next hour, Maya watched as other customers came and went. She noticed how Jessica's demeanor changed completely when greeting white customers, suddenly becoming animated, helpful, even chatty. When a middle-aged white man in a rumpled suit asked about opening a checking account, Jessica immediately called over an account manager. Maya approached the desk again. "Excuse me, but I've been waiting for over an hour. That gentleman just got immediate service." Jessica didn't even look up. "He had an appointment, and like I told you, our services might not be the right fit for you. There are other banks that specialize in smaller accounts." The condescension in her voice was unmistakable now. Maya felt her patience evaporating, but she maintained her composure. She had not built a successful business by letting ignorance derail her goals. "I'd like to speak with your branch manager immediately. This is unacceptable customer service. Mr. Davidson is unavailable. Perhaps you should consider making an appointment for next week. Though honestly, I think you might be wasting your time here." Maya pulled out her phone and made a call. "Sarah, it's Maya. Can you transfer $2 million from my personal account to my business checking? I need to make a point." "Yes, I know it's unusual, but trust me on this one." As she hung up, Maya noticed Jessica watching her with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Within minutes, Maya's phone buzzed with a confirmation text. She approached the desk one final time. "I'd like to make a withdrawal from my personal account, please." $2 million, Jessica laughed out loud. "Ma'am, if you have $2 million in this bank, then I'm the Queen of England. Please don't waste any more of my time with these fantasies." Maya calmly placed her phone on the counter, showing the account balance and recent transaction history. Jessica's face went pale as she stared at the screen. The numbers were real and they were substantial. I don't understand. "How did you get an account here?" "I opened it 3 years ago when your previous manager, Mrs. Rodriguez, treated me with the respect that every customer deserves. Now I'd like to speak with Mr. Davidson. Immediately." Jessica's hands trembled slightly as she picked up the phone. "Mr. Davidson? There's a customer here who insists on speaking with you. She says she has accounts worth millions with us." Within minutes, a tall man in an expensive suit hurried out from the back offices. His face was flushed, and he wore the expression of someone who sensed trouble approaching. "Ms. Johnson?" "Maya Johnson, CEO of Tech Forward Solutions." Recognition flickered in his eyes. He had heard that name before. probably in business journals or industry newsletters. His company was making waves in the tech world. Ms. Johnson, I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience. How can we assist you today? Mr. Davidson's nervous smile didn't fool Maya for a second. She had seen that same expression countless times. The sudden shift from dismissal to desperation when people realized they had made a costly mistake. Your staff member here, Maya gestured toward Jessica, has been refusing to provide me with basic customer service for over an hour. She suggested I take my business elsewhere because this bank isn't suitable for someone like me. Davidson's face went from flushed to crimson. He shot a sharp look at Jessica, who was now staring at her computer screen as if it might provide an escape route. I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Maya interrupted. Your employee made it crystal clear that she doesn't believe I belong here. She questioned my financial capacity, suggested I was confused about amounts, and recommended I try a community bank instead. Jessica finally spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just trying to help her find the right fit. The right fit? Maya's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. The right fit for what exactly? Please enlighten me. Davidson stepped forward quickly. Ms. Johnson, please allow me to personally handle your account needs. Jessica is still learning our customer service protocols. Learning protocols? Or learning that customers come in all colors and backgrounds? Maya's question hung in the air like a challenge. The lobby had grown quiet. Other customers were beginning to notice the tension, some openly staring at the unfolding drama. Maya was aware of the attention, but she didn't care. She had been in this situation too many times to walk away quietly. What exactly does someone need to look like to deserve respect in this bank? Maya asked, her voice carrying across the marble floor. Davidson was sweating now. Ms. Johnson, I assure you that we value all our customers equally. Perhaps we could discuss this in my office privately. No, I think this conversation belongs right here in front of everyone. Your employee felt comfortable discriminating against me publicly, so we can address it publicly. A well-dressed elderly woman near the teller windows turned to her companion. Did that girl really refuse to help that young lady because she's black? She whispered, but loud enough for others to hear. Jessica's face was now bright red. I never said anything about race. I was just doing my job. Your job is to refuse service to qualified customers, Maya asked. Your job is to make assumptions about people's financial status based on their appearance? I didn't refuse service. I suggested alternatives that might be more suitable. More suitable for black people? Maya pressed. Is that what you're saying? The silence that followed was deafening. Even the soft classical music playing overhead seemed to pause. Davidson looked like he wanted to disappear into the marble floor. Ms. Johnson, he said desperately, please let me make this right. I'll personally ensure you receive our premium service level. We can open any type of account you need, with all the benefits and features appropriate for your business level. Maya pulled out her tablet and opened her company's financial portfolio. I'm not just looking to open one account, Mr. Davidson. I was planning to move my entire business banking relationship here. Payroll for 200 employees, vendor payments, investment accounts, and international transfers for our overseas operations. Davidson's eyes widened as he realized the magnitude of what was slipping through his fingers. That's exactly the type of relationship we specialize in building. I was also considering recommending your bank to my business network, CEOs from 12 other companies who are looking for a new banking partner. We meet monthly, and banking services are often a topic of discussion. The branch manager looked like he might faint. A network of successful CEOs represented millions, potentially tens of millions in new business. Ms. Johnson, I cannot express how sorry I am about this situation. Jessica clearly misunderstood our service standards. Let me assure you that this doesn't represent our values or our normal operations. Maya looked around the lobby, noting the faces watching the exchange. Some customers looked uncomfortable, others appeared engaged, and a few were nodding in approval of her firm stance. Mr. Davidson, this isn't about misunderstanding. This is about systemic bias that your employee felt comfortable displaying openly. She made immediate assumptions about my worthiness as a customer based solely on my appearance. You're absolutely right, and I take full responsibility for my staff's behavior. How can we demonstrate that we've learned from this mistake? Maya considered the question carefully. She had the power to simply walk away, taking her substantial business elsewhere. That would certainly punish the bank financially, but would it create any real change? "I want to see your branch's customer service training materials," she said. "I want to understand what kind of education your staff receives about treating all customers with equal respect." Davidson nodded eagerly. "Of course, absolutely. I'll have our training coordinator pull all the materials immediately. And I want to see your hiring practices. How do you recruit staff? What kind of diversity training do you provide? What accountability measures exist when discrimination occurs?" The branch manager was taking notes on his phone now. "Yes, we can review all of that with you. Our regional manager will want to be involved in this discussion as well." Maya glanced at Jessica, who was still standing behind the reception desk looking mortified. "What happens to employees who discriminate against customers?" "We have progressive discipline policies in place. This would certainly warrant immediate corrective action." "Corrective action like sensitivity training?" "At minimum. Depending on the severity, it could range from formal reprimand to termination." Maya nodded slowly. She was building toward something, but she wanted to understand the full scope of the problem first. This wasn't just about one employee's bad behavior. It was about institutional culture and accountability. Maya wasn't finished. She had Davidson's attention now, and she intended to use it effectively. "I'd like to speak with your other staff members," she said. "All of them?" Davidson looked confused. "All of them? May I ask why?" "Because I want to understand if Jessica's behavior is an isolated incident or part of a broader pattern." The branch manager's discomfort was visible. "Ms. Johnson, I can assure you that Jessica's behavior today was completely inappropriate and doesn't reflect our standards." "Then you won't mind if I verify that personally." Within minutes, Davidson had gathered his entire team in the main lobby area. There were 8 employees total: 3 tellers, 2 loan officers, 1 investment advisor, Jessica at reception, and Davidson himself. The customers in the bank watched with obvious curiosity as the impromptu meeting began. "I'd like each of you to tell me about your approach to customer service," Maya announced. "Specifically, how you determine which customers receive priority attention." The staff exchanged uncertain glances. This was clearly not a normal Tuesday morning scenario. One of the tellers, a young man named Marcus, spoke first. "We try to help everyone in the order they arrive, unless someone has an appointment or urgent business needs." "What qualifies as urgent business needs?" Maya asked. "Large transactions, business accounts, investment services," he replied. "How do you identify customers who might need those services?" Marcus hesitated. "Usually they tell us what they need, or we can see it in their account information." "What if they don't have existing accounts here? How do you assess their potential value as customers?" The silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, one of the loan officers, a middle-aged woman named Patricia, spoke up. "We listen to what they're asking for and try to match them with appropriate services." "Do you ever make assumptions about what someone can afford based on their appearance?" Patricia shook her head quickly. "No, that wouldn't be professional." Maya turned to Jessica. "Is that your understanding of proper customer service as well?" Jessica's voice was barely audible. "Yes." "Then can you explain why you repeatedly suggested I take my business elsewhere without asking about my specific needs or financial capacity?" The lobby was so quiet that the soft hum of the air conditioning seemed loud. Jessica stared at the floor, unable to answer. Maya continued. "Can you explain why you questioned whether I understood the amounts I was discussing? Can you explain why you recommended a community bank as more suitable for someone like me?" I made a mistake," Jessica whispered. "What kind of mistake exactly?" Davidson stepped forward. "Ms. Johnson, I think we've established that errors were made. Perhaps we could focus on moving forward constructively." Maya fixed him with a steady gaze. "Mr. Davidson, constructive change requires honest acknowledgement of the problem. Your employee discriminated against me based on her assumptions about black customers. That's not an error. That's bias." An elderly black gentleman who had been waiting at one of the teller windows spoke up. "Ma'am, I've been coming to this branch for 15 years. I've noticed the same thing myself." All heads turned toward him. He was well-dressed and carried himself with quiet dignity. "I'm Robert Hayes," he said. "I own 3 restaurants in this city and have significant accounts here. But I've always felt like I had to prove myself every single time I walked through those doors." Maya felt a surge of validation mixed with sadness. "Can you give me specific examples, Mr. Hayes?" Last month I came in to get a cashier's check for equipment purchase, $50,000. The teller asked me 3 times if I was sure I had sufficient funds. Asked me to provide 2 forms of ID when other customers only needed 1. Asked me to verify my mother's maiden name, my social security number, and my home address before processing a routine transaction on my own account. Patricia, one of the loan officers, looked genuinely surprised. "Mr. Hayes, I had no idea you felt that way." "Because nobody asked," he replied. "And when you're one of the few black customers, you learn to pick your battles carefully." Maya nodded. "Mr. Hayes, how long did these extra verification steps take?" "About 20 minutes for something that should have taken 5. "And during those 20 minutes, how were other customers being served?" The teller next to me processed 4 customers with simple greeting and basic ID check. Davidson was taking notes frantically. Maya could see him beginning to understand the scope of the problem. "Mr. Hayes, have you ever considered changing banks because of these experiences?" "Many times. But changing banks is complicated when you have business accounts, and I kept hoping things would improve." Maya looked around at the staff. Several faces showed genuine surprise and concern. Others, including Jessica, looked defensive. "How many other customers have we lost because of experiences like this?" Maya asked Davidson. I don't have that data readily available." "How many discrimination complaints have been filed against this branch in the past year?" "I'd have to check with our compliance department." "How many staff members have received bias training in the past 2 years?" Davidson's answers were becoming shorter as he realized how unprepared he was for these questions. Maya made a decision. "Mr. Davidson, I'm going to make you an offer. I will move my entire business banking relationship to this branch, and I will recommend you to my CEO network, but only under specific conditions." The branch manager's face lit up with hope. "What conditions?" "First, every member of your staff will complete comprehensive bias training within 30 days. Not online modules, but real training with certified instructors." "Absolutely. We can arrange that." "Second, you'll implement a customer feedback system that specifically tracks experiences related to discrimination and bias." "Done." "Third, you'll provide me with quarterly reports showing your progress on diversity and inclusion initiatives." Davidson nodded eagerly. "We can definitely do that." Maya paused, watching his face carefully. "And fourth, Jessica will be terminated immediately." The lobby fell silent again, but this time the silence had weight. Davidson's face went pale and Jessica let out a small gasp. The other staff members looked shocked, while the customers watching seemed to hold their breath. "Ms. Johnson," Davidson began carefully, "termination seems quite severe for a first offense." "A first offense?" Maya's voice remained calm but carried unmistakable authority. "Mr. Davidson, discrimination is never a first offense. It's the result of long-held biases and attitudes that your employee felt comfortable displaying to customers. This wasn't a simple mistake, this was systematic prejudice." Jessica stepped forward, tears forming in her eyes. "Please, I need this job. I have student loans, rent. I can't afford to lose my position. I promise I'll do better." Maya looked at her steadily. "Jessica, when you suggested I try the community bank, what exactly did you mean?" I thought maybe they'd be more familiar with your needs." "What needs specifically?" Jessica's voice was barely audible. "I don't know." "When you questioned whether I understood the amounts I was discussing, what made you think I might be confused?" It seemed like a lot of money. For someone like me." Jessica didn't answer, but her silence was answer enough. Maya turned back to Davidson. "This isn't about punishment for punishment's sake. This is about accountability and change. Every day that Jessica remains in a customer-facing role, she sends a message to your black customers about how they can expect to be treated." Mr. Hayes nodded from where he stood near the teller window. "The young lady is right. Some lessons are too important to learn gradually." Davidson was clearly struggling with the decision. "Ms. Johnson, I understand your position, but we do have progressive discipline policies. Perhaps suspension pending training." "Mr. Davidson, let me ask you something. If Jessica had refused service to a white customer in the same manner, what would you do?" "That would be completely unacceptable customer service." "And if she had refused service to your biggest business client?" "That would warrant immediate termination." "So the only reason you're hesitating now is because the customer she discriminated against was black?" Davidson realized the trap in his own reasoning. "That's not... You're proving my point." You're treating discrimination against black customers as less serious than poor service to white customers. One of the tellers, Marcus, spoke up quietly. She's right, Mr. Davidson. If someone had treated our VIP customers that way, they'd be gone immediately. Patricia, the loan officer, nodded reluctantly. And honestly, I've noticed Jessica making comments before about certain customers. I should have said something. What kind of comments? Maya asked. Patricia looked uncomfortable. Just assumptions about people's financial status based on how they dressed or spoke. I thought it was just inexperience. Maya felt vindicated but not satisfied. Patricia, when you witnessed inappropriate behavior and said nothing, you became part of the problem. I understand that now. I'm sorry. Davidson was clearly wrestling with the decision. Maya could see him calculating the financial implications. Her business was worth millions, but wrongful termination lawsuits could be expensive too. Mr. Davidson, let me make this simpler for you. I'm not asking you to fire Jessica because I'm angry. I'm telling you that keeping her sends a clear message to every black customer who walks through your doors. It tells them that discrimination will be tolerated as long as the employee apologizes afterward. Jessica was crying openly now. I really didn't mean anything racist. I was just trying to be helpful. Maya turned to her with something approaching sympathy. Jessica, I believe you don't think of yourself as racist. But impact matters more than intent. Your actions had the effect of discrimination regardless of what you meant. But I can learn. I can do better. Maybe you can. But this bank's black customers shouldn't have to be your practice subjects while you figure out how to treat them with basic respect. Davidson made his decision. Jessica, I'm sorry, but I have to ask for your resignation effective immediately. My resignation? You mean I'm fired? I'm giving you the option to resign so it doesn't appear on your employment record as a termination. Jessica stared at him in disbelief. You're really firing me over this? Maya spoke gently but firmly. You're not being fired over this incident alone. You're being fired because this incident revealed attitudes and biases that make you unsuitable for customer service work in a diverse community. But what am I supposed to do? How do I explain this to my family? You learn from it, Maya replied. You use this as an opportunity to examine your assumptions about people and commit to doing better in your next position. Davidson was already moving into damage control mode. Jessica, HR will work with you on the transition. You'll receive your full pay for the remainder of this week, and will provide a neutral reference for future employment. As Jessica gathered her personal items from the reception desk, the atmosphere in the lobby began to shift. Some customers were nodding approvingly, while others looked uncomfortable with the dramatic turn of events. Maya addressed the remaining staff. I want to be clear about something. This isn't about creating fear or walking on eggshells around black customers. This is about treating everyone with the same respect and professionalism you'd want for yourselves or your family members. Marcus, the young teller, raised his hand tentatively. Ms. Johnson, how can we make sure we're providing equal service? Sometimes I worry about saying or doing the wrong thing. Maya appreciated his honest question. Start by examining your assumptions. When a customer walks in, focus on what they're telling you they need, not on what you think they might need based on their appearance. Ask the same questions you'd ask anyone else. Provide the same level of service you'd want to receive. Patricia nodded. And if we're unsure about something, we should ask for clarification rather than making assumptions. Exactly. Treat uncertainty as an opportunity to learn, not as confirmation of your biases. Davidson was scribbling notes rapidly. Ms. Johnson, I want to schedule the bias training you mentioned as soon as possible. Do you have recommendations for qualified trainers? I do, but first, I want to see your commitment demonstrated in other ways. Davidson looked eager to prove himself. What kind of commitment are you looking for? Maya had been thinking about this throughout the entire confrontation. She had the bank's attention now, and she wanted to use it to create lasting change, not just solve her immediate problem. I want you to establish a customer equity council, she said. Representatives from the community who can provide ongoing feedback about the bank's service to diverse customers. A customer equity council? Davidson repeated, clearly unfamiliar with the concept. Yes. 6 community members representing different backgrounds who meet quarterly with your management team to review policies, discuss concerns, and provide guidance on inclusive service practices. Mr. Hayes stepped forward. I'd be willing to serve on something like that. Maya smiled at him. That would be perfect, Mr. Hayes. You have 15 years of experience as a customer here. Your perspective would be invaluable. Davidson was nodding enthusiastically. We could definitely establish something like that. What other commitments were you thinking about? I want you to review your hiring practices. Look at who you're recruiting, where you're recruiting from, and what qualifications you're requiring. Make sure you're not inadvertently excluding qualified candidates from diverse backgrounds. Patricia raised her hand again. Ms. Johnson, could you explain what you mean about qualifications? I want to make sure I understand. Maya appreciated her willingness to learn. Sometimes job requirements that seem neutral actually create barriers for certain groups. For example, requiring a 4-year degree for positions that don't actually need one, or requiring experience with specific systems that might only be available in certain communities. So we should focus on the skills that are actually necessary for the job? Exactly. And we should make sure we're advertising positions in places where diverse candidates will see them. Davidson was taking detailed notes. What else? I want you to implement a mentorship program. Pair newer employees with experienced staff who can model inclusive behavior and provide guidance on working effectively with diverse customers. Marcus, the young teller, looked interested. That sounds really helpful. Sometimes I feel like I'm learning customer service through trial and error. That's exactly why mentorship matters. It prevents errors that could hurt customers and helps new employees develop confidence in serving everyone professionally. Maya looked around the lobby. Noting that several customers were still listening intently, she realized this conversation was serving as education for everyone present. I also want you to establish clear consequences for discriminatory behavior, not just termination for severe cases, but a range of responses that help people learn and improve while protecting customers from harm. Like what kind of responses? Davidson asked. Required training. Temporary removal from customer-facing duties while skills are developed. Regular check-ins with supervisors. Customer service shadowing with excellent performers. A variety of tools that address the behavior while helping the employee grow. One of the older customers, a white woman who had been watching the entire exchange, approached the group. Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to say something. Maya turned toward her. Please go ahead. I'm Margaret Thompson. I've been banking here for 20 years, and I'm ashamed to say I've witnessed behavior like what happened today and never spoken up. I want you to know that what you're doing is important. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. It's never too late to start speaking up when you see unfair treatment. You're right, and I want to apologize to Mr. Hayes. I've seen you getting different treatment here, and I should have said something. Mr. Hayes smiled graciously. I appreciate that, Mrs. Thompson. Change starts when people are willing to acknowledge problems and work together to fix them. Davidson cleared his throat. Ms. Johnson, I want to assure you that we're committed to implementing all the changes you've suggested. When can we schedule a follow-up meeting to discuss the details? I'll need to see some immediate actions first, Maya replied. I want the bias training scheduled within 2 weeks, not 30 days. I want the Customer Equity Council established within a month, and I want a written plan for all the other initiatives within 10 days. That's an aggressive timeline. Mr. Davidson, discrimination has been happening in this branch for years. Urgency in addressing it isn't unreasonable. It's necessary. She pulled out her business card and handed it to him. Here's my contact information. I'll expect regular updates on your progress. Davidson studied the card, noting the impressive company logo and her CEO title. Ms. Johnson, I want to ask, how did you know exactly what changes to request? You seem to have experience with this kind of organizational development. Maya smiled for the first time since entering the bank. I've been working on diversity and inclusion initiatives in my own company for years. I've also been on the receiving end of discrimination enough times to know what meaningful change looks like versus superficial gestures. Would you be willing to consult with us on implementing these changes? We could pay for your expertise. Maya considered the offer. I might be willing to provide some guidance, but only if I see genuine commitment to change, not just compliance. How will you measure that? Results. I want to see increased satisfaction among your Black and other minority customers. I want to see diverse hiring at all levels. I want to see employees who feel confident and comfortable serving all customers equally. Patricia spoke up. Ms. Johnson, how long do you think it will take to see real change? Some changes will be visible within weeks. Improved customer interactions, better training, clearer policies. Cultural change takes longer. Maybe 6 months to a year to really take hold. But the important thing is starting immediately and maintaining consistent effort. Davidson extended his hand to Maya. Ms. Johnson, I want to thank you for holding us accountable today. This was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. Maya shook his hand firmly. Mr. Davidson, discomfort is often the price of growth. The question is whether you'll use this discomfort to create lasting change or just to get through the immediate crisis. I can promise you it will be lasting change. I'll be watching to make sure of that, and so will my network of business associates, Mr. Hayes, Mrs. Thompson, and everyone else who witnessed what happened here today. As Maya prepared to leave, she realized that what had started as a simple attempt to open a bank account had turned into something much bigger. She had used her position and influence to create an opportunity for systemic change, not just personal satisfaction. 6 months later, Maya returned to the First National Bank branch on Madison Street. The lobby looked the same: marble floors, crystal chandeliers, elegant furniture. But something felt different. The atmosphere seemed more welcoming, more inclusive. A young black woman at the reception desk looked up with a genuine smile as Maya approached. Good morning. Welcome to First National. How can I help you today? I'm Maya Johnson. I have an appointment with Mr. Davidson to review the progress on our diversity initiatives. Of course, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Davidson is expecting you. I'm Keisha Williams, the new Customer Relations Coordinator. He's told the whole team about your partnership with us. Maya felt a spark of satisfaction. Not only had they hired Jessica's replacement, but they had promoted the position and filled it with a person who would bring diverse perspective to customer interactions. Davidson emerged from his office looking more confident and relaxed than he had 6 months earlier. Maya, thank you for coming in. I'm excited to share our progress with you. They settled into the small conference room adjacent to his office, where Davidson had prepared a comprehensive presentation. I want to start with the most important metric: customer satisfaction. He pulled up a chart showing feedback scores from Black customers over the past 6 months. We've seen a 47% improvement in satisfaction ratings from African American customers. Wait times have decreased by 60% for all customers, and complaints about discriminatory treatment have dropped to 0. Maya studied the data carefully. What specific changes do you think drove these improvements? The mentorship program has been huge. Every new employee spends their first month shadowing our best performers. Marcus, who you met that day, has become one of our top mentors. He's excellent at teaching customer service without bias. What about the bias training? Davidson's face lit up. That was transformative. We didn't just do a one-time workshop, we implemented ongoing monthly sessions. The trainer you recommended, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, has been amazing. She doesn't just lecture about discrimination. She helps staff recognize their unconscious biases and develop practical skills for inclusive service. Maya was pleased but wanted to dig deeper. Can you give me specific examples of behavioral changes you've observed? Absolutely. Patricia completely changed her approach to customer assessment. Instead of making assumptions based on appearance, she now asks open-ended questions about customer needs. Last month, she helped a young Latino man secure a business loan for his food truck. Previously, she might have steered him toward personal loans without exploring his actual goals. And the Customer Equity Council? It's been invaluable. The 6 community representatives meet with us quarterly, but they're also available for informal consultation when we're developing new policies. Mr. Hayes has been particularly helpful in reviewing our account opening procedures. Maya smiled, remembering the dignified gentleman who had spoken up on that dramatic morning. How is Mr. Hayes finding his experience as a customer now? He told me last month that for the first time in 15 years, he feels genuinely welcomed here. He's also referred 3 other business owners to us, all people of color who had previous negative banking experiences elsewhere. Davidson pulled out another chart. That brings me to our growth metrics. We've gained 68 new business accounts from diverse customers, and our overall customer retention has improved by 12%. Maya was impressed but remained focused on sustainability. What about staff turnover? Are people buying into these changes long-term? That's been our biggest surprise. Employee satisfaction has actually increased. Initially, I was worried that the additional training and accountability measures might create stress, But the opposite happened. Staff feel more confident and competent in their roles. Davidson flipped to another page. Marcus told me that the mentorship program helped him understand banking as more than just transactions. He sees himself as helping people achieve their financial goals regardless of their background. Patricia said the bias training helped her realize she was missing opportunities to really serve customers well. What about hiring? Are you seeing more diversity in your applicant pool? Significantly. We've expanded our recruitment to include historically Black colleges and universities, community organizations, and professional associations that serve diverse populations. Our new hires reflect the demographics of our customer base much better. Maya nodded approvingly. And management commitment? Is this initiative getting support from above your level? Davidson's expression grew more serious. That's actually been our biggest challenge and our biggest victory. Initially, regional management saw this as damage control for one incident. But when they saw our improved performance metrics and customer growth, they asked us to develop a blueprint for other branches. Really? We're now the pilot program for the entire region. 3 other branches have implemented similar initiatives, and the bank's corporate headquarters is considering making our approach the standard across all locations. Maya felt a surge of satisfaction. This was exactly the kind of systemic change she had hoped to create. What's been the most surprising aspect of this process for you personally? Davidson leaned back in his chair, reflecting. I think I was naive about how discrimination actually works. I thought it was obvious, intentional behavior by obviously prejudiced people. I didn't understand how unconscious bias could create discriminatory outcomes even when people had good intentions. And now? Now I realize that good intentions aren't enough. You need systems, training, accountability, and ongoing commitment to create truly equitable service. Jessica probably didn't wake up that morning planning to discriminate against you, but her unconscious biases led to discriminatory behavior. Maya appreciated his honesty. Speaking of Jessica, do you know what happened to her? Actually, yes. About 3 months after she left here, she reached out to me. She had taken a customer service position at a retail store and asked if she could attend one of our bias training sessions on her own time. Maya raised her eyebrows in surprise. Did you let her? I asked Dr. Mitchell, our trainer, and she said it could be valuable for Jessica's growth and helpful for other participants to hear her perspective. Jessica attended 2 sessions and was remarkably honest about her experience here. How so? She admitted that she had made assumptions about customers based on race and class, and that she hadn't even realized she was doing it until she was confronted with the consequences. She said losing her job here was painful, but necessary for her personal growth. Maya felt a complex mix of emotions. She was glad Jessica was working on her biases, but she also knew that many people discriminated against didn't get to see their discriminators experience meaningful consequences or growth. What's she doing now? She finished her degree and got a position with a nonprofit that works on racial justice issues. She specifically sought out work where she could contribute to positive change rather than potentially perpetuate harm. Maya was quiet for a moment, processing this information. Mr. Davidson, I want to be clear about something. I'm glad Jessica learned from this experience, but the point was never to destroy her life. The point was to protect current and future customers from discriminatory treatment. I understand that completely, and I think the message was received not just by Jessica, but by everyone who witnessed what happened that day. Davidson pulled out a final document. I wanted to show you something else. We surveyed all our employees about workplace culture and inclusive service practices. The results show significant improvement in confidence, job satisfaction, and understanding of bias issues. Maya reviewed the survey results, noting particularly strong responses to questions about feeling prepared to serve diverse customers and understanding the importance of inclusive service. Mr. Davidson, I have to say I'm impressed with the depth of change you've achieved. This goes far beyond what I expected when we started this conversation. Maya, I want to thank you for pushing us toward real change instead of just accepting an apology and moving on. Your business has been valuable to us, but more importantly, you've helped us become a better bank for our entire community. Maya gathered her papers and prepared to leave. The real test will be sustaining this progress over time. Change is easy when everyone's attention is focused on it. The challenge is maintaining these standards when the spotlight moves elsewhere. We've built these practices into our performance evaluations, promotion criteria, and standard operating procedures. This isn't a special program anymore. It's just how we do business. As Maya walked toward the lobby, she noticed Keisha helping an elderly Hispanic woman with account paperwork, speaking slowly and patiently in both English and Spanish. At the teller windows, Marcus was chatting comfortably with a young black father while processing his deposit, asking about his daughter's school pictures. The changes weren't just visible in policies and procedures. They were evident in the day-to-day interactions that made customers feel valued and respected. Maya paused at the door and looked back at the branch that had tried to turn her away 6 months earlier. Today, it felt like a place where anyone could walk in and receive professional, respectful service regardless of their rank.